Stretch it out. All right. So welcome to the weekend live streams, the AMA. So for those of you also known as Energy Drink Saturday, because I basically begged my girlfriend into allowing me to have an energy drink. Scratch that. I said, listen here, I'm drinking an energy drink, whether you like it or not. That may not have been how that went down, but we're gonna pretend like that's how that went down. Happy Saturday to everybody, and for those of you who are new to the channel, what I like to do is I start off with a question. Every weekend I do about an hour live stream to answer your guys' questions, and I start off with a question. It could be a question in the comments. So if you have a question you definitely want to answer to, make sure you just sort of comment on some of the videos. I put out videos every week, and or something that's going on with my mind. And so something that's going on in my life is I'm actually picking up my very second programming language. Like real, this may sound like kind of strange because I've coded in about 10 different languages, but I wouldn't say that I have picked up a different language. But that's something that's going to be changing in the near future. You know, I've coded in, I would say that the only language I truly know would be JavaScript. If I want to use I don't like the word no, but the only language that I'm comfortable with is JavaScript. Part of that is just, it's the one I use all the time. It's the one I've been using for years now. And moving forward, in the past, I've done Ruby, I've done Java, I've done C++, PHP, Python, Visual Basic. I'm sure I'm leaving a few out, but these are all things I've played around with and dove into. I haven't touched in many years. But moving forward at my work, I'm finally, and I've talked about this, they're actually going to be grooming me from front end into a full stack developer, and I'll be doing C# using the .NET framework. So I will be officially picking up what I also did PHP in my last work. So I hate to say it, but PHP is probably the language I know second best. And that can't stand. So that has to. I can't have that on my conscience. So we're definitely going to be picking up C# with the .NET framework, and starting in the near future, I will be that will be where I spend the bulk of my time studying, outside of course my coursework and things like that. I have a couple Udemy courses I'm trying to finish up, ones I'm taking and ones I'm building, but in the near future I will be diving into the C#. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that, about when you're ready to dive into a second language, because there's this strange mentality where you see, you know, especially when you're just starting out, right? When you're just starting out, you are looking at these job apps, and you see sometimes they say 3 or 4 languages, oftentimes as suggestions. Oh, well, you know, we want someone who's good with this, and you may say, oh man, I feel okay with JavaScript or whatever. I want to learn a backend language, and you get kind of overwhelmed. I want to just take a moment to sort of say that it is not advisable when you're just getting started to try and tackle multiple languages. It is hard enough to remember all the methods that are available in a single language, especially when you are just getting going, that you may confuse some concepts in different language. Now, it is most languages that you will work with have a lot of the same functionality, right? They have the for loops, they have looping, they have logic statements like if statements, for loops, while loops, data types that are very similar. And so it may be an easy transition, but when you're actually trying to go and be a production, like a in-house developer, I would say try and stick with that first language. Once you get your toes wet, and I mean that once you get your first job, and it seems like the next natural language will come very easily. You'll say, okay, well, you know, I've been working in JavaScript for a year, 6 months, whatever it is, and I think I'm ready to start building things for the back end, or I'm start building things for this or that, or we're gonna transition our product, our company. What is the new hotness, right? I think it's okay to then start learning a second language, and some people may disagree, but I think you will paint yourself into a very complicated corner where you have invested too much time into learning 2 languages that you don't know that well, and instead your time would be better spent learning 1 language that you know decently well, so that you can get going. And then once you, I don't want to say master, because I don't feel like I have mastered anywhere near mastered JavaScript or anything else in general. But once you are confident in a language, that it may be time to move on to a second one after you have some experience in that language. And I think that's a fair way to go. So I just want to, this is sort of the question about when to learn a second language, is to when you're ready. And a lot of times people try to jump in way too early. So I just want to take a moment to kind of say, hold up. I know we all want to go at 100 miles per hour, but you're actually probably going to do more harm than good when you're studying multiple languages at the same time as a beginner. So that's my little PSA, public service announcement. That's right. And let's go ahead and answer some questions. Is it you or Dolan? Hey, watch out, Dolan coming soon, baby. Gonna start filming for Dolan videos today, actually. Steve Mischuk says PHP is good for freelancers because of WordPress. Yeah, well, I mean, WordPress is a lot of small businesses. So the thing is here is I want to comment on this freelancers. A lot of you want to be freelancers. A lot of you want to work remote, and there's 2 different things. And you don't really want to be a WordPress freelancer. It's hard getting clients. It's hard keeping clients. You don't get paid all that well. And what you really want most of the time is you sort of want to work remote, have maybe a little bit of a more free schedule, and that is completely possible as a contractor. You could go and work for a consulting company after you have a couple of years experience in your belt, or if you're just a very skilled developer, and you can have that lifestyle, get paid very well, and go from there. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. But he is right that PHP is good for freelancers because of WordPress, but I would highly, highly, highly advise against going down a WordPress route, because it is in the long term not very good for your career. That would be my thing. It may be easier to get started because there are less jobs, or there are more jobs, but they're kind of like, it's kind of like if you were to say there's more jobs in fast food, and thus you study fast food. Do you understand what I'm saying here? And so instead of being a bartender where you get tips and it makes decent money, you're like, nah, man, there's more fast food things. So I'm gonna go flip some burgers at minimum wage. You know what I mean? Like I can see that's how I see the argument from Steven, but he isn't incorrect that it's good for freelancers. Yeah, but most people aren't going to be successful freelancers. They are going to be successful contractors, successful employees, and I would say I would lean you towards doing consulting and contracting instead of freelancing. But without seeing his whole argument, that is just my 2 cents on it. I'm a fan of Mr. Steven Mischuk, although I think I mispronounced his name a million times. But I'll have to. I know I would say I'm not the only one that thinks this way, but I have heard other arguments against it. I'm taking the free Codecamp algorithms and putting them on my Git repo, and I'm creating the test using Mocha. Nice. This is something I actually wanted to add to my JavaScript 360 course. When I finish up my Angular 360 Part 2 cryptocurrency chart and table, I will be adding some tests using Jasmine and Karma, or maybe I'll just make it a separate test and we'll go from there with new algorithms. Would you prefer front and back end being the same language, JavaScript and Node.js? Would I prefer it? Uh, I don't know that I would prefer it. I mean, I would because I could do it. But is there any preference one way or the other? Not really. The thing that you get out of having a front end and back end language being the same, such as JavaScript and Node, is you get quick and fast development. You get somebody who you get somebody who can transition from the front end to the back end and start learning the back end concepts without having learn a new language. You're more so just learning a way of doing things and your way of thinking about the back end. And that's where the benefit of a full stack mean or MERN project really comes from. Why do people say JavaScript isn't good for data structures? I searched on Quora, many people saying it. What do you say on it? I don't know enough about it. What's next for the coding god? The coding god is currently finishing up his degree program. He is also reading several books right now. Well, one book with 4 queued up. I am also doing the school thing, doing the YouTube thing, and I have just finished the coding aspect of the Angular 360 Part 2, which will probably be released in like 2 weeks. I have to actually film it. I have to build some wireframes, some user stories, some testing, and then add it and do all the descriptions and crap. That shit takes forever. So that's kind of it. That's the near future of what I'm up to. If I'm the coding god, if I'm referring to, if that's who we're referring to. If we're referring to Dolan is going to be telling you all about freelancing. So look forward to that. I'm starting a bootcamp in Orlando next month. Any tips? I hope you've been preparing. I have a video coming out on Monday comparing a college versus bootcamp versus self-taught. And one of the things I say in the video is when you go into a bootcamp, which is about 3 or 4 months, you should already know how to code beforehand. You should be spending about 3 to 6 months reviewing, prepping, studying, and just fine-tuning those skills from there. I was wondering, how do you approach a project? I know JavaScript, CSS, etc., but I have no idea how to start a basic project such as a JavaScript calculator. How would you tackle this? This is probably just an inexperienced thing. This is where you haven't really opened a text editor, or you've watched so many tutorials that you haven't had anything to do for you yet. So the first thing you should really do is just break the project out into simple parts, right? And go from there. So like for instance, find parts that are repeating, and that will help queue. Well, if it's repeating, I only have to build it once and change certain aspects of it. But just take a simple like tribute page, for instance, and build that from scratch and say, okay, how would I actually break this out? And take a piece of paper or whiteboard, whatever, draw it out. And what I would say is from there, go and say, okay, there's a picture. I know how to do a picture. Build the picture. Insert the picture. Say, okay, there's a menu. How do I build a menu? Go build that menu and start breaking it out in as fine-tuned pieces, components as you can, and just tackle them one by one. A lot of what happens is you get overwhelmed, right? Where you're like, I don't know how to start this thing. Oh my God, there's a calculator here. I got a blank text editor. How do I get blank text editor to have a calculator? And you say, okay, well, let me just build a box for the calculator. All right, now I built the box. I'm going to have an input, right? So, okay, let's add an input. All right, I need some buttons. Let's build some buttons. My buttons have to have some labels on them. Let's add some labels. And then you start there, and then you continue and progress. But really, it's all about breaking it down into fine-tuned pieces without getting overwhelmed. That's really the truth of the matter. Do you still invest in cryptos? I still have money invested in cryptos. Right now I am not really. I'm saving money more than investing because I am buying a new car in the near future. Once April buys once April gets a job, she'll be getting my car, and I'll be getting a new car. And so I'm probably gonna buy it cash. I don't like debt, so I'll be buying the bulk of it cash and probably financing like $4,000 of it just to build credit, things like that. Should we learn a framework after building a few projects and playing JavaScript? Some people may differ on this, but I say yes. You should be picking up React or Angular because that's what you'll be working with in the workplace. And those are the skills that employers are going to want when you are applying for jobs. All right. Did you see that John left Simple Programmer? John didn't leave shit. All right. I love John to death. And I emailed him about his name change and things like that. But with all respect, John didn't leave shit. I like John. John, I'm actually reading one of his books. It's very good. But really all that John did, in my 2 cents, and I haven't watched this video about why he left Simple Programmer. I did see it pop up in my queue. I haven't got around to it yet. But my 2 cents is John's doing some rebranding. That's essentially what he's doing. And he doesn't really want to talk about development anymore. And he never really did, right? He did for a while because that's where his expertise was. But I kind of feel like John's always wanted to be about just living better and making better choices. And I think it's a little bit more personal branding. And it's something I actually emailed him about too, where I said, hey, man, did you change your, because I've thought about just naming my channel Dylan Israel, and instead of Coding Tutorials 360 and changing the name of it, just to do more sort of personal branding of where I'm the brand, if you will, of my tiny channel. But would it be a better decision to say, okay, let's change the channel name from Coding Tutorials 360 to Dylan Israel? Would that be better for my career? And I emailed John when I saw the name change to see, and he said, "No, I kind of quit Simple Programmer." And the guy's putting out videos every day almost still, so I don't think he really quit anything. I think maybe he's just sick of talking about software, or maybe he is doing a little bit of rebranding, which isn't the same as leaving. But again, I haven't watched this video. That's just my 2 cents, my 2 unintelligent cents, uninformed rather sense about it. I'm competent in HTML, CSS, and very good at JavaScript, React. Am I ready for a junior developer job? Yeah, I think it's. I think obviously you want to probably throw in some testing with either Mocha and Chai or Jasmine and Karma. That's what I'm familiar with, and then hopefully you have some projects built. And then I also would suggest getting some version control as well. The idea of the interview process is pretty daunting to me. Hey, me too, brother. All right. Don't ever think that shit's going to get any better. All right. So just keep that in mind. If you think it gets any easier, it does not. Good morning, diabetic manatee. When did I start coding? At which age? My first college coding course. Actually, my first college coding course was like when I was like 20, but I didn't have. At that point, I didn't know I was going to be a developer. So my real first college coding course was at like 24. And so I didn't really start learning web dev until about 3 years ago, when I was 27. But yeah, all I had then was just the college courses, the Java courses, like 3 or 4 Java courses, a Python course, a C++ course. So I personally don't think I really started coding until I was 27, but it's all relative because that's when I started building out my own stuff and going from there. Well, I ever use data structures in web dev? It data structures in terms of certain what's the word I'm looking for? Certain in organizing your JavaScript in certain ways, yes. It depends on the project application. Not all the times. Like I do a lot of CRUD tools and things like that. But if I was working with something that was a little bit more complicated than some of the client-facing tools, I would probably have to be more confident in data structures. So it just depends on what you're working on. So someone asked me what book I'm reading by Johns. It's the Complete Software Developer's Career Guide. I actually included a link in the chat, and I'm going to go ahead right now and throw it up in the description. And that way, if you want to help me out, I get a little bit of affiliate money from Amazon. It would be appreciated. How the hell did I throw this in here? Info and settings. So you can help me out a little bit with that. Throw it in there. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm working. I'm about 8 chapters in. I love it. I plan on getting a soft skills book as well down the road. Do you still buy ebooks for college classes? Not for my class, no. My classes, no. How long can you be comfortable? How can you be comfortable with Node.js, Express.js? Everyone goes at a different rate. So really just go start building things and see. What other programming languages have you learned, if any, and why? I mean, PHP is probably the PHP, Java, and Python are the ones that I am most familiar with. So if I was to kind of say Java because I was in college, Python because I was in college and I really enjoyed it and I built games in it. Game singular. And PHP because that's what I used at my last workplace. I remember back in the day when the channel was your name. Dylan Israel, are you Jewish? I have my dad's side of the family is Jewish. I have Jewish heritage, but not Jewish faith. I was never I never got a bar mitzvah or anything. He said so John has a partner who's taking over, so I guess we'll see what Simple Programmer is. Interesting. I knew John has a partner with him on his stuff, but I wonder what that entails. I have to go watch that video eventually. Are there any resources to help you improve your approach to projects? Like you said, breaking down projects. Are there any resources to help improve that skill? I mean, in my course, I do wireframes and user stories and things like that, and I try to break it down. I'm going to actually harp on this in my next Angular 360 course, but I don't really know of anything other than just practice. What is the future of JavaScript? So this is an interesting conversation. I personally think it's going to evolve into TypeScript, which is you have types and which it kind of already has, right? How many? I mean, Angular, the default you use in Angular, the default is TypeScript, and you have React applications now using TypeScript, and so that's kind of what I think is going to happen. So you're going to have it's so hard to say because you have all these things in web dev that you don't necessarily have in other languages. You have compilers, pre-compilers, CSS compilers. So you're working with a view and stylings and not just the pure language. So it's one of those things where you have to look at it objectively. And for me, I think that a lot of what's happening is you simply are going to see as web dev has sort of evolved from this language that was built in 10 days to a fully functional object-oriented or object-based language, you're going to see it become more and more like TypeScript in the near future. Oh my goodness. What's my daily schedule like? I wake up every morning around 6 or 6:30. Why are you lying over there, baby? Like 4 or 5 in the fucking morning. Some days I wake up early. I wake up at 5. Yeah, some days I may wake up a little early. Some days. More often than not, you're waking up at. All right, more often than not, I'm waking up at 6 or 5:30 before my alarm clock goes off. So I wake up. I spend about an hour to an hour and a half studying for school. And then I sometimes a little YouTube. It depends on how much I get done of I have my sections broken out. And I talk about this a little bit more in an upcoming video where I give an update about my classes and stuff like that. I go to work Monday through Friday. So I'm at work from 8:30 to 5:30. I get home. I have dinner. I go back to studying until about 8:30 or 9. And then I do it all over. And on the weekends, I work a little bit more on YouTube. I work a little bit more on my courses. To give you an idea, I filmed 2 videos today. I'm going to be working on my Dolon freelancing video. I'm doing my live stream. I'm also going to be studying. I have some reading I need to do for school and some quizzes. I also am going to finish up my course, and I'm going to, after that, finish the working on my course. I also, before bed, read for about 30 to 45 minutes of my current book that I'm reading. So that's kind of how my daily days go, if that helps at all. Do you see the hashtag women in tech for the fascist, sexist, anti-men movement that it is? All hail meritocracy, right? I'm not answering that question, man. I can't. That is quite the loaded question. I will say I understand why such things exist. I understand that why they exist. Do I think they should exist? No. That's my thing. I'll give you my example at Cal State LA that I've given quite a bit. And these are topics that are a little bit loaded and a little bit rough. But I went to Cal State Los Angeles when I was a computer science program, and they didn't really have an engineering club. They had a Latino and Hispanic engineering club. And anytime I feel like you include genders or race, and technically everyone's included, but it's always anytime you include a gender or a race, it becomes non-inclusive, even if legally or in theory it does, right? And so, and you may say, well, Dylan, you know what? Well, maybe because they were in the minority, they felt like they weren't included. Cal State LA is 60% Hispanic. This is not just some random statistic I'm pulling out of my butt. I've seen the numbers from the Cal State LA newspaper, and it might even been higher than that. But I wanted to join an engineering club, and I felt like I was not included due to the fact that it was prefaced with such things. So I would say that I've reached out to some girls who code in the past and wanted to sort of help promote the movement a little bit, and I've not gotten any responses. Say, hey, I'd love to talk to you about what you're trying to accomplish and this and that. And I am personally against that sort of stuff, but I understand why people think that it should exist. Is web development just about CRUD operations overall? No. Some part of it's CRUD, right? You build a lot of back office admin tools that need to be used and things like that. They also build cool client-facing stuff that is more fun, more dynamic than that. Do I prefer Angular or React? I really like Angular, just because I'm more familiar with it. No, so a lot of people like to. This question happens all the time, but a lot of people like to say Angular, React, Angular, React. I love React. It's so light. Not really. If you've ever done any React development, which I've done a little bit, you end up installing about 40 different libraries, 40 different frameworks, and then you just have Angular at the end of the day. You have your own customizable Angular. I much prefer just to have Angular. That's it. I don't need to go get Angular from a bunch of open source software. Just give me Google's Angular and start there. That's my 2 cents on it. Do you feel like the job market for junior entry level devs is dying? No, man. I feel like that's a lot of clickbait. My sense on the junior entry level devs is dying is that there's just a lot of unqualified junior developers. That's the truth of the matter. Is there's a lot of people who want to be developers but just aren't ready. They don't want to do the bare minimum that's required, because the bare minimum is a lot, right? The bare minimum is being able to pass those technical interviews. The bare minimum is being proficient in a language. The bare minimum is being able to to build side projects, have side projects to show. It's to show that you're passionate, whether it's through volunteering or meetups, whether it's going and getting certificates, sometimes degrees. And it's just a large amount to become a junior dev. And a lot of people just like to bitch about how hard it is. That's really what I think it is. Now, is it hard? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. So that's kind of my 2 cents on it. What is the future of Node.js? I don't know, man. I don't follow the Node stuff too much. Go from there. Is it better to learn TypeScript first than JavaScript? I mean, TypeScript is nothing more than a superset of JavaScript. I would advise against it if you are just getting started, because what may happen is you may confuse functionality in TypeScript for what is functionality in JavaScript. But as long as you know what is TypeScript and what is JavaScript, there probably isn't any harm. But I would say 9 out of 10 times you should just learn JavaScript. What I think of functional programming, I don't know enough about it. I know that functional programmers are in love with it, but that's pretty much out. Should I learn Node or Angular first? You should learn probably JavaScript if you're asking that question a little bit better. But I would say you should learn React over Angular if I was going to choose right now, just because of the sheer amount of jobs. What operating system do I use? I use Windows. Do you know Bash? I use Git Bash. That's about it, though. Are you doing a live coding tutorial this weekend, like today or tomorrow? I don't think I'll have time. I was just doing that because I was working on my cryptocurrency charting course. Who's gonna win the fights tonight? I actually don't know who's fighting tonight. I went and saw Black Panther. What are your thoughts on it? I thought it did a very good job. Spoiler alert. I know some angry ninjas. This thing got done. Too bad. I think they did a very excellent job with incorporating a little bit of history of the civil rights movement and doing it in a very very interesting way. I also just loved it. I thought it's a nice change of pace, man. A lot of times you go to a Marvel movie and it's just like, God damn, this is like every other Marvel movie except we swapped out the Hulk for, Iron Man or some shit. And it was just different, which was nice and it was really well handled. I really liked it. I'll leave it at that because I don't want to ruin it for you guys. Do I handle UI and UX development as well as at work? I do, but typically we're not too big on UI UX, so it's not a big deal. That just depends on what projects I'm working on, though. By the way, you're pretty cool. Thank you, man. Is it the braces? But yeah. Do I need advanced math under my belt to be a developer? I would say you just need strong algebra skills most of the time. If you could recommend 5 different projects to have on a portfolio site to land a junior dev, what would they be? 5 unique ones. I'm like, 5 unique projects. I'd have something with some APIs. I'd have something with some algorithms. I'd have something with data structures. I would have something but they all have to be unique. That's the thing. That is the absolute thing, is they have to be unique projects. Also, I think 5 is more than enough. Honestly, if you had one really good long-term project that you could show how it has evolved over time and you've been maybe make a side income from it even, that would be just as impressive. What language do you suggest for backend? I'm confused because there are so many. That's really up to you, man. There's a lot of jobs in PHP. As someone who hates PHP, I will admit that there are a ton of jobs in PHP. .NET and C Sharp. C Sharp for the backend is an excellent language, which I see all the time So something to consider as well. Node is great because you can transition usually from the front end to back end. So it really just depends on what you're trying to do. Jeremy Stevens versus Josh Emmett. Was Josh Emmett the one that had that nasty KO last time? Let me look up Josh Emmett. I think this guy looked like he killed somebody his last KO. I got my money on Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett, yeah, just look, no, it is, yeah. Josh Emmett straight up murdered this dude last time. Now he didn't get a fight of the night bonus because he weighed in too much, but he definitely would have won it that night. But my money's on Josh Emmett because who the fuck is Jeremy Stevens? Who the fuck is that guy? Are you saying React has more number of jobs in comparison to Angular right now? I couldn't tell you the numbers. I could just tell you I was doing some research, looking at some jobs for a video, and I saw a shit ton of React jobs. So I would say that, especially if you're trying to break in and you're trying to do a front end role, I would advise React over Angular. All right, have a good one, Joshua. Should I learn WordPress? No. Do you miss LA? No. The reason I left LA was traffic, cost of living. I will say that the one thing I do miss from living in Southern California is having all the good Mexican food and having good food places in general. Yeah, the food in Florida sucks, dude. That's the truth of the matter. Is it's really hard to find good food in Florida. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because the average age of a Floridian is 50 and they just lost their taste buds after that. But it is an unfortunate situation. Am I hyped for My Hero Academia season 3? Yeah, when does it start though? I've been so out of it. I've just been watching Dragon Ball Super lately, once a week. So I'm definitely, My Hero Academia is one of my favorite shows. Favorite new animes. I gotta find out when season 3 starts. What coder do you use / suggest? I use Visual Studio Code. That's really great. I'm a big fan of it. When you were hired for your first web dev job in Florida, in Florida, did they fly you out for an interview or did they hire you in California? I got hired in California. They didn't fly me out for an interview. What do you think about Maximilian's Angular course? I love it. I'm about 3/4 through it. I've been just sort of kicking away with it, nipping away. I've just been doing 30 minutes there, so I'm trying to say. Yeah, that guy got murdered with the who the fuck is that guy? That's like it, bro. You just need to get off the stage now. You done. You're done. He done taken your manhood, boy. Which is better, Google Flutter versus React Native? Well, considering I've never heard of Google Flutter, I can't tell you. I think there's too many qualified web devs in California. The requirements for front end is very high. The salaries are super high also. And it's just, I know it feels that way, guys. And I promise you, I promise you, I completely understand. You know, I'm still just under 2 years experience as a developer. But it is one of those things where I understand it looks overwhelming, especially when you're just getting started. But it really, as you continue learning over the next few years after getting your first junior role, those roles will become much, much, much more obtainable. But you have to just continue to progress. Is it really hard for a junior? Yes, but that's always the case. Always hard to go. Ball hairs one. You know the food here sucks, bro. Keep it real. I get you're from from Florida, but we can admit that the food sucks. I'll just keep it real with you. I can tell you all the shitty things about California also. Um, yeah, Super's ending. Crusader Rabbits, yo, Dolan. Do you think front end masters is worth it? I don't think many things are worth it. I think you can just do some YouTube videos, do some Udemy courses, and call it a day. Um, did I study JavaScript separate from HTML, CSS when you first started? No, I kind of did them all at the same time. Very interesting content. So few likes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. What are you guys doing over here? Can't you hook your boy up with some likes and shares and some dollars? Cash money, baby. No, but yeah, I appreciate you guys all tuning in. How old am I? How old do you think I am? I'm an old man now. I am 30. I'm the big 3-0. If you are this good after 3 years of coding, I feel more confident about my learning curve. Hey. Yeah, this good. Coding God, baby. No, I pretty much try and work at it every day. And I basically told myself I was going to code every day for 5 years and work towards my career every day for 5 years. I have about 2 years left. 2020. We'll see if I slow down or if I just can't help myself. I try not to work some days. I can't help myself. But yeah, it's I'm trying to do my best, and the way that you do that is just every day you try to be better than you were the day before, and I encourage you to take on that same mentality. How did you value yourself for your first dev job? I'm trying to do research to find my worth. If you're talking about how to negotiate your first salary, I basically, when I was negotiating, I was first off, I pretty much was happy to take the first job I got as long as it was a reasonable salary. I asked for what the average was. I believe the average salary, like web developer salary in in my area of Florida was like 65,000, and I got 62. That bumped up to 67 for my very first job. So that was kind of my arguing point: is I just want to get paid the average, and I'd be happy with that. I think I'm worth that, and they gave me exactly that. And so, what sort of dick would I be if I said no? I was very happy to accept it. It was at that time I was making 45,000 as a technology trainer or technical writer, and I took that, and that was some. It came out to, I want to say, like what was 45? It came out to going up to 67. It's a $22,000 raise after the first 3 months, which is like a 47% increase in pay, and it was nice. That's really all I could say. It was nice. You get a 47% increase in pay. Life is good. Do you know all backend languages? No. I don't know all backend languages. What food is bad to you? Okay. First off, there's very few good sushi places. So let's start there. There is no good Mexican food. I've tried like 30 I've been living in Southern California all my life. There's a Mexican taco stand on every corner, burrito joint, whatever you want to call it. Mexican food here is just awful. Absolutely awful. Same with the Italian. There's very few good Italian places. It's just bad, man. That's all. I ain't got no. I like Florida. Just the food sucks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. Software, web dev in general, Mac or PC. I prefer PC. We want Dolan, not Dylan. You gotta wait. Dolan's coming soon, man. When does that caterpillar molt? After the Dolan video. Actually, you know what? A little slight announcement. You guys might get a bonus stream. You might get a bonus stream this week because your boy Engineered Truth is coming down here and he's staying with me for a week, just in Florida, hanging out. He's gonna be in the guest room, and so maybe we'll do a live stream later this week on the channel. Maybe both our channels, one or the other. Who knows? But should be fun. Thanks for the advice. I'm actually going through free Codecamp project videos at the moment since I break wallet projects. Nice. Do I need to learn the whole JavaScript in order to learn Angular, something like that? I would advise you to be very comfortable with JavaScript before you move on to Angular. Angular is really going to handle the DOM manipulation aspect for you. And I would highly suggest that you get comfortable with that. I've seen jobs advertised in California front-end devs for $21 an hour. Do you think it's just something trying to take advantage of someone? Your thoughts? I think it is someone trying to take advantage, yes. There is a large amount of people who would take that job when they're trying to get their first job. And honestly, if you are a junior, like a real junior dev, take 21 an hour. In California, it's nothing, right? When I was making $45K in Los Angeles, I was renting a room for $800. I barely could afford my rent. I barely could afford my health insurance, my car payment. My mother was bringing me groceries. It was awful. I use the bathroom real quick, guys, and I'll come back and answer more questions. All right, let's see here. What is my ethnic background? Irish. I'm like 70% Irish. Must be nice to make money on the go. What do you mean on the go? What does that even mean? Bad food is more of a Tampa thing. I'll take your word for it. That sounds like a big fucking excuse, though, if you ask me. Sir, I'm learning Android dev. What's next? Python or JavaScript? You should probably be picking up Kotlin and Java. Yeah, and also that $21 an hour job, that's up to you to take that and leave after 6 months for $30 an hour, and so on and so forth, and keep grinding up that salary. Do you like alcohol? I'm not a big drinker. I will go out with coworkers and drink socially. I did pick up some beer since Engineering Truth is coming, or Matt is coming rather, and just so that I believe he's a little bit of a drinker. He's more of a social drinker. I know he goes out. The guy basically doesn't have a job. What else are you gonna do other than drink and party and date? So I got some beer for while he's down here. So we might have some stuff. I have just started using Visual Studio. It's a bit overwhelming. Any suggestions on tutorials on how to use it? It's overwhelming, really. I thought it was a simplistic design, personally, but I would suggest just going on YouTube, googling Visual Studio Code, in tutorial, and seeing what sort of walkthroughs you can find. I'm from a third world country, median salary for a web dev 16K. Do you think I should go for a dev job or something else? I honestly couldn't tell you. You probably know better than I would. Is the demand still high for web dev? I'm starting to feel it's not, because Udemy is selling these courses for cheap. Udemy's always sold courses for cheap. They've always been $10, $15. I don't think that's anything new. That's just how Udemy's always done it. So, how did you gain confidence as a developer? That is my problem. How to gain confidence and skills when applying a job. So, one, I could build a project from start to finish, and so the project from start to finish was really helpful in gaining my confidence, because that was basically like, hey, that's what I would do, right, as a developer. So that's good. I was also working at a software company, and I would see the people they would interview fail things and answer things poorly. And I'm like, I know that answer. I know that. And that was really something. But really, it's I guess the thing that kind of put the nail in the coffin of the, hey, am I good enough to be a developer? That sort of imposter syndrome was when I made my most recent jump. I had 3 job offers on the table. So that was something where I'm like, if I can get 3 job offers with 1 year experience, I must be doing something all right. And that was enough for me to get going. Udemy getting burned by hacks. That's right, Brian. We got Brian in the chat. Let's build that app. If you guys aren't subs, I highly suggest you go and show him some love. But yeah, so for those of you who aren't familiar with the Udemy situation, basically, Chris, someone forwarded a course, said, hey, man, someone's stealing your content and building a course out of it, along with other people's, and making money. And Chris has been posting some videos about it. And I didn't even know. This is the first I thought I heard that was a thing. As someone who sells courses on Udemy, that you have to go through an approval process. But I guess that when you submit your videos, they don't actually scan to see if there's other videos out there. I'm not quite sure how YouTube does it, but I can tell you that if I upload a duplicate video, YouTube lets me know. So, I hope Udemy does something, because it's a awful situation. I don't know if they can recoup some of the money or how that works, but I would be furious, as I think Chris is. I think he's just handling it like an adult. He's not going to be like throwing computers across the window, cussing and screaming. So I'm not quite sure what they're doing. I saw that he released a 3rd video on it. I haven't watched the 3rd video. Go from there. Can you download the Udemy course videos after buying it? I don't remember, to be honest. I never have, but I never wanted to. You might be able to. Can I suggest some web hosting services for free? Web hosting is relatively cheap, guys. You can get it for like $4 or $5 a month, sometimes cheaper. I would encourage you to just dish out the extra few dollars. I couldn't tell you how to develop an LMS. I'm sure you could with JavaScript. Any front end and back end you could develop just fine. If none, developing an LMS is never going to be easy. All right, now that Casey's here, we can end the live stream, boys. We'll call it a day now that Casey's here, who always shows up late. But yeah, so I'm not quite sure. Oh man. So they refunded the people who bought the course, but they didn't give the money to Chris or the other people who already used the course. That doesn't seem right. Right? So not only did someone buys a course, they like the course. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. They paid for the course. They got the content they wanted, but they're not going to give the people anything. Did you read the article by Joel Spolsky about side projects? I am not familiar with that, no. And I don't know who Richard Stallman is. Let's see who here. Richard Stallman. Who is this guy? So he's a hippie that's all about freeware. Is that is that the gist of it? The only downside is Chris had it for free on public domain. It's not public domain to throw it up on YouTube. He is agreeing that you can then watch it to he gets ad revenue as well as promotes his own stuff. That doesn't mean it's free. Doesn't mean that you can download it and use it. Actually, none of that is entailed. He's still the owner of that content, or at the very least, YouTube technically probably is the owner of the content somewhere in there. In that long ass thing you assign when you say, "Hey, I'm okay being a content creator." Who is this guy? Joel Spolsky. I'll look it up another time. It looks kind of douchey, though. I'll just say that. From his picture, he looks kind of douchey. He's the CEO of Stack Exchange. Cool. Sounds like a qualified guy, but kind of looks a little douchey. Yeah. Some tips for a hackathon. Have an idea. Research the APIs or whatever it is that they're going to move forward with, that you're going to be using, and go for it. Do I know Elon Musk? Yeah, me and Elon go back. We're boys, man. We were throwing the shots back last Tuesday. What the hell do you think? No, I don't know Elon Musk. You think if I did, you think I have a job at Tesla or SpaceX right now? Elon, hit me up, baby. I know you're a sub. God, sort of ridiculous questions. I'm not familiar with the Google AMP. How many hours do you think one can work on a Udemy course? How many hours per day? I just did a video about how many hours a day I think you should study, and that's about 3 to 4 hours. So, so that would be my suggestion. If your goal that day is to work through Udemy, I would say about 4 hours. What are the higher level JavaScript feature topics they should know, considered to be intermediate to advanced in JavaScript? Probably asynchronous, closure. Should definitely be familiar with all the callback functions, methods. Go from there. ES6 and all the latest. How long should a man date a woman before he proposes? When he's financially prepared, owns a house or two, and can get everything in a prenup. That is the right time. Requesting a GitHub tutorial. Oh God, you guys want a GitHub tutorial? Everyone keeps asking. That's actually something that I want to do, is do like JavaScript in an hour, Git in 20 minutes, HTML in an hour, CSS in an hour. One of those courses. one of those sort of things, and I've been slacking with it. I'll be honest with you. I've been doing the more fun videos where they're topic oriented because that's what I like to do. I like to talk. I got a lot of shit to say, I guess. But I should. And most of my courses, I just built my JavaScript course. It's 7 hours long, and I added 2 videos to it this week, and I'm going to continue adding to it. Tell me something about Node.js. Node.js is a JavaScript backend. It also runs NPM. The more you know. That's basically Node.js. But yeah, so is HTML, CSS, JavaScript someone's best bet to get a job? If you're trying to do front-end web development, I would say it is. Any good resource to know how to integrate APIs? You really just have to understand basic CRUD, how to create data, read data, update data, delete data from using an API. And once you do, they're all sort of similar. And then it's just a matter of diving into the documentation. Okay, how do I get this data from this API? And just going through. Appreciate the coupons you gave Brad from Traverse Media. Hey, no problem, man. I got nothing but love for Brad. He has I've sent him some emails asking for advice here or there. He's a good guy. I'm a big fan as well. Let us know when you'll be coming to London, England. Hey, when Elon hits me up and says, "Hey, bro, we flying out on the jet," I'll be there. All right. Do you also teach coding? Your girlfriend, she's a programmer like you? No, she is unemployed right now, but actively trying to be a project manager. She just got 3 certifications. She's working on the big one, which is the PMP. Once that happens, hopefully she'll be able to land her first junior project manager role. GraphQL or REST? I'm familiar with REST. I haven't touched GraphQL at all. My understanding is that the way that GraphQL works is the front end defines the data model, which I'm all for. I'm ready. If that's true, if that is a true statement, and it sounded too good to be true, I'm GraphQL all the way. I don't even need to see. I don't even need to know how it works. If the front end defines the data model, put me in, coach. REST can get the fuck out. GraphQL, you're in. We're putting you in. You're now the starter. All right. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I saw, like a 1-paragraph header on an article, and I was just like, "You got me, dude. That's it. Clickbait. All right, I'm ready." But no, I haven't had a chance to dive into GraphQL quite yet. HTML, CSS, someone's best bet to get a job. What I said was, if you're trying to do front end web development, because that's exactly what you're building, what you would use that for. What does it take to be a software engineer 2 from a software engineer 1? Usually years of experience. That's really pretty much it. And leaving a job for another job is probably quicker than waiting. That'd be my advice. What databases do I prefer? I prefer document-based databases because I think they're a little bit more fun, a little bit more spicy, a little bit more like JavaScript, and a lot less like relational databases. You should make a day in the life of a software developer. I would love to do it at my current work, at my previous work, and at my future work. Unfortunately, a lot of companies don't like that. So that's my thing is I would like to, but you have to understand not everyone wants to put, like, let's say I get the business to okay it, right? I get my company to say, "Hey, you know what? That's cool. Yeah, that's a really neat thing you're doing, Dylan. We love that you have a YouTube channel, whatever. We'd love for you to go and post a video. That's fine." There's 200 people plus at my corporate offices. Now I'm going by and I have to make sure, okay, how do I Like, what am I doing here? Like, do I need to blur them out? Do I need to get all their express permission? A lot of people don't want to be on camera. A lot of people aren't like, hey, let's go and just blab about software on the thing and put videos out of ourselves, with a Dolan character, right? A lot of people want their privacy, and that you have to respect that. So it's also one of those things where what can I include? So now, if I want to show you my stand-up, are the other 4 or 5 people? Do I need to get their permission? Are they okay with it? And if they're not, I can't show you my stand-up. If I want to show you our hackathons, if I want to show you our weekly dev meetings, if I want to show you this or that, code reviews, how much of the code can I show? So it's one of those things that's a little bit more complicated than just showing up and filming. I would love to do it, and I think it would do great. I think a lot of people would like it, but usually these mid-sized to smaller companies are a little bit more private than like a Facebook or a Google or Amazon. So you better believe, though, I'll be asking if I ever get a job at Google or Facebook or Amazon or something like that. Like, yeah, that shit's too good for the channel. Your boy might just get fired to sneak it in. That's one of those 6-digit view videos, I feel like. Yeah, Dylan, we noticed that this video has 500,000 views. We don't remember exactly giving you permission to film at Facebook. Oh shit. Well, my bad. We're gonna need you to take it down. Oh no, that definitely ain't happening, Mr. Facebook man. This shit's bringing in the subs, it's bringing in the views, and it's bringing in the cash money. So I'm gonna have to say no. But yeah. So I mean, I'd love to, but it's a little bit more complicated than just that. Speaking of a day in the life, you should at least do vlogs. If you don't get out of the house, I can understand why you don't. Just make vlogs yourself walking through the house. What, you don't like the green background? I could throw something different up in it. I thought about, I need a new phone, and then I'm gonna maybe I kind of like how Chris Hawks goes about and like films outside and stuff like that. And I've been thinking about doing something a little bit like that. Once I buy a new phone, but I'm buying a new car first. And so once that kind of happens, and spending $500, $600 on a new phone isn't always the best financial decision when you're looking to buy a new car cash. So we'll see. I would never say no to Facebook or Google or Amazon for that matter, or Microsoft. Hit me up, boys. But yeah, so yeah. Our algorithms only use interviews to have real world applications for front end development. It depends on the role, but most front end roles, you're probably not going to need too many algorithms and things like that. But it depends on the role and what you're doing a lot of times. And algorithms are really nothing more than, and data structures, than being able to sort and filter data in a fast and timely and memory efficient manner. And that depends on what you're doing, if you are worried about that. What car? So I'm probably going to buy a Honda Civic 2017, 2018 Sport hatchback. That's probably the car I'm going with. Have I applied and gotten interviews at any of those big companies? I have gotten interviews at Facebook and Amazon. They've reached out to me saying that they were interested. I have not passed the technical interview, which is upsetting. Yeah, so I've blown 2 chances. But we learn, we grow, we get better, and we try again. So, yeah. What do I think of the YouTube censorship issue? I think I haven't really had too much of an issue. There was a period in time where they were demonetizing my videos, and that really sucked because, like, I'm talking about software. I don't really like how much more vanilla can it get than web development? Like, really, can it get more vanilla than web development? No panties are dropping. No expletives typically are flying. No blood is being shown. Like, there's nothing sexy about it, guys. And yet the the web dev videos are getting demonetized. So that sucked. I haven't really had too much of an issue with it. I don't see that I will most likely. Do they have offices in Florida, or would you have to move? Most of the roles that I was thrown out were for in the Seattle area for the roles. But yeah. All right, guys. I think it's about time. How long have we been going? I always try to go about an hour. Let's see here. Right, I can kind of feel my voice going a little hoarse from talking. Oh yeah, we're over an hour. All right, it's time to end this. I can't really talk about the technical interviews. I don't think they would appreciate that. Okay, we'll end on this note. This is a positive note. What was your best moment till now in your career? And it's a pretty straightforward one. My best moment in my career was the day that I got my first development job. It was a day that I was put into work. And this is one of the things that's hard about learning to be a developer and progressing as a developer, and something I struggle with right now, right? I'm going to college to make more money, to become a more qualified developer on paper, right? Just knocking that out, but it doesn't pay off till it does. And the day that it paid off, all that hard work, all the, the blood, sweat, and tears, as people say, the frustration, the days where I was questioning if I made the right decision, the days where, you didn't want to code or study, but you did. All those days that you didn't go out and have fun, all the days where you felt like a loser, and all those days, it finally became worth it when you got that first salaried full stack role. That would probably be my best moment in my career because I wanted it so bad. So bad. And I got it. What the hell I was screaming about? But that was the best moment of my career, getting my first real job. So I'll leave you on that note. I hope that you guys want it as bad as I did. And if you did, you'll get there. No problem. Thank you so much for watching. We do these every Saturday. We'll do a weekend live stream. Check out my videos on Monday and Wednesday. Monday's video, we talk about, we do the three main trifecta of learning, where that's going to be the college route, the bootcamp route, the self-taught route. And on Wednesday, I do an update about school. A lot of you guys have been asking me about how that's going. So I actually did a video about that as well. And I also have another video coming out the following Monday about if I could learn development all over again, what would be the route I would take and why, knowing what I know now. So I hope you guys find that all very helpful. I base my videos based off what I think would help you and what would also be enjoyable. So look forward to maybe a live stream with Engineer Truth. We'll see if he's up for the cause. And I'm picking him up from the airport tomorrow. So I'll catch you guys later. Gotta go get back to the grind.